Good morning, everybody. Good morning. This is my 1992 Jeep Cherokee Laredo. I've had this Jeep for a year and a half now, and I've done a lot of work to this Jeep. I have installed a new remanufactured engine, I sound deadened the interior, went through the engine bay. I mean, all the externals to the engine, they're practically new. So there's so much content I could have made for this Jeep, but I'm just going to get started now. This is the first video. And what we'll do today is we'll actually be installing fender flares. I cut into this Jeep all the way up to the pinch welds that there are that separate the exterior from the interior. I cut all the way up onto this Jeep to allow for 33-inch tires. They're a wider tire, and I added a lift. Still needed to cut. These tires were a lot bigger than what was on there before, and ended up buying, my wife bought for me some fender flares for a pretty good deal. She got them for me for Father's Day, so I'm super excited about those, and we'll walk through. I'll give you a little bit of a look around the Jeep, let you see some of the things I've done to it. But I'll do that in a different video more formally where I give you a walk around of the entire Jeep. Today, we'll be focused on getting these fender flares on. And it'll be a lot more presentable when we do that walk around. We might do a little bit of painting, more rust prevention than anything. Not for looks, it's not anything that you'll see. And yeah, I'm gonna be in and out today, going to the gym, hanging out with the kids, working a little bit here and there. And so, you might see me change an outfit or two, but we'll be working on this and trying to tackle this just in a day. Shouldn't be anything too crazy. So thanks for tuning in for the video. Let's get started. Like, subscribe, comment if you have a Jeep and there's anything I could be doing better. I always love the feedback in a community like this. It's great. But hope for you guys to follow along as we build this channel, get this thing really off-road ready, camping ready, and go hit the trails this summer with my family. So first things first, these are the flares themselves. I got these from, I sent my wife this link a while back and told her I'd found some cheaper fender flares. They're made out of polyurethane. And when I say cheaper, I mean relatively cheaper, because fender flares, especially the bushwhacker style that I want on the Jeep, so expensive. I mean, I was looking around and some of the different styles that I might have wanted, they're $800, $1,000, $600. You could make your own. There's some pretty cool channels out there in the Jeeping world or other car channels where they made their own and they welded some stuff together to the body to make that happen. I'm not a welder. I want to be, don't have any equipment. So for now, we got these. So KBD, I think is the brand. They make polyurethane fender flares. They come with the hardware, which I'll show you in a minute. There's holes that you can see that will allow for us to pretty much put this thing up. Maybe there's some support brackets that we'll go through and include along the way and kind of drill for, but it's going to be pretty easy to put on. I've cut the Jeep, and so some of those factory holes that were there, they're no longer there. You know, maybe on the rear they are to some extent. On the front, they're not. So we'll be drilling new holes, putting the hardware in, securing this to the vehicle, and then I'll show you what it looks like. So it comes with the fender flares. Some people complained about the shipping from this company. They did just fine for me. They got all of this in the box, nothing's bent. So far as I can tell, they got 4 of those fenders in there, so front and rear, and then hardware is down there at the bottom. So I'll get this all out. We'll kind of lay each where it goes, and then we'll get started looking at the instructions as to how they want us to get brackets, support brackets in, if any, where to drill. And we'll also take a look really quick here at what I did when I cut as well. And don't laugh at me because I've got limited tools in my garage and limited space. Here's my passenger rear, so the right rear of the vehicle. I went through, I used tape to mark up where I wanted to cut, but I also just had to make note of where the pinch welds were on the back. So with these Jeeps, there's pinch welds that if you cut too deep, you know, you go up to those pinch welds or beyond. Like if I wanted to cut up here and into this, this divot, you'd be into the interior of the vehicle, and then water can get up in there sound, rocks, everything, it's a disaster. And you've got metal that's separating. So a lot of guys will cut this stuff to a good degree and fold it in. I didn't want to. So far I haven't needed to. And maybe I'll do some more trimming in the future tents. But for now, I got enough that this thing doesn't touch the tire when I articulate. You know, with some flex, I took the rear sway bar off. So it articulating up and into the vehicle. It's got some good up travel. Not as much as I'd like, but good enough. The cut's not super even. This is the only part of the Jeep, surprisingly, on the exterior where I found rust. So I really got to clarify because I found quite a bit of rust on the floor pan. There's a little bit of rust right here. I'll probably sand some more of this off and then add a layer of paint to that, just to do my best to prevent that from getting any worse. But this is where I want it to be. So we're not going to do any further trimming today. We're going to get the fenders on top of this, and I'll give you a quick walk around of some of the other cuts I did on the front and on the other side on the rear. So let's take a look at that. So the cuts on the front are where I felt like things went well. You can see a little bit of the blue paint, some of the spray paint in places like this here, where I had spray painted after cutting, just to help again with some of the potential for rust. But this part was pretty forthright. I mean, I went through with tape, got them relatively close on both sides. I knew I was going to cover these with fender flares eventually, and I cut, and the clearance is pretty good. When I turn super sharp all the way, I have a little bit of the tire that touches the support bracket, and I'm actually just going to cut that off. Eventually, this front portion of the Jeep, this lower front portion, is coming off, and I'll have a front bumper. So I'm not going to worry too much about cutting down there, the front bumper that's weathering, not worrying about that. That's the passenger side right there. This is the driver's side, where again I felt like things went well enough, right? It's a Jeep, doesn't have to be perfect. This one, as far as the exterior goes, it's a pretty clean XJ, so I'm trying to keep it relatively clean. There's not really any rust under there that's going on. I rhino lined the entire underside of the Jeep on the other side of the frame and all throughout, so really it's just this exterior part that I watch for, and things are looking pretty good. So you can see there's very minimal portions of rust starting. I'm gonna sand all that down, spray paint that a little bit, but we won't have to go very far to get that surface rust off. No more cutting here. Again, we'll just put the fender flares on. So let's go ahead, let's get started and lay out all of our parts. Right here in the video, I'm realizing I need to read instructions before I preface what I'm gonna do and have a little bit more forethought to things. So one of the first steps, and I didn't read this, I should have read this before, they ask you to take the parts out, and like I said before, in the shipping, sometimes they'll take the polyurethane parts, they'll squeeze them together really tight and put them in a box. I've seen videos of that, and I didn't know until now they do go back to their original form. You just need to get them hot. So you might be able to see in the background, but I put them on the driveway. It's pretty dang hot today. How hot is it? It's going to be 88 degrees. It's climbing up there now. And then the driveway, like the surface, gets pretty hot, and it says you could leave it out there for about 15 to 30 minutes. I'll probably do 20 minutes. Nothing really seemed like it had been bent or distorted at all, but just to be safe, that gets it back to the original shape that it's supposed to be. I took a look at the hardware. They sent a sticker. I've got a workbox here I'll show you in a second. I only put stickers on the workbox if the parts that the people send work, if they're good. It's just a funny thing, but in the past, like, I've gotten in the habit of slapping cool stickers on, and then you go to install a part and you say, what the heck? You know, the part doesn't work. It's a common thing with these Jeeps. Yeah, had that problem. So that's the test. You got to be able to send a part that works, looks good, and then if you install it and all goes well, the sticker goes up on the box. And you can see some of the stickers. Sorry about my garage situation. Super messy right now. We actually did a really good job organizing a whole bunch of things and got the garage cleaned up, but then we just threw all of the bikes in here. We went camping, fishing, got the kids' bikes as well. And yeah, you know, one thing leads to another. It just gets dirty. But Core 4x4, I've got some of their stuff on. Rock Auto, of course, can't live without them. Bilstein shocks, Rocky Road Outfitters, Apex, to name a few. So gone through and added the stickers that made the difference. Banks exhaust, Adams drive shaft up there, and we'll have plenty more to add as we go, kind of starting fresh on this thing. While I was waiting on the parts, the fender flares, to heat up in the sun, I decided I would start sanding and getting the sides of the Jeep ready for some spray paint. And using the sander is something my son likes to see. He likes the power tools. There really are better ways to do this, but like I said, they're not going to take much for me to get this surface rust off, so I just used the orbital sander that was closest to me, some sandpaper to get some things by hand, and it worked well enough. I did a rough outline on the fenders with some tape just so that I didn't overspray the spray paint. I picked this color up from Ace. It's close enough to the color that my Jeep is, but not exact. Since buying this Jeep, I think I've said the word close enough a million times. Okay, so I just got the first fender on. I got the rear fender on the Jeep. I'll show that to you now. This is the passenger side, and I'm actually only going to be able to do the rears right now because, like I said, there's a pinch weld that I didn't want to cut into, and because of that, I ended up not cutting off the factory holes, the drilled holes. That's what they're asking you to put the nutserts into and screw into. And so because I essentially cut them off on the front, I'm gonna have to figure out something different from the front. Let me give you a little bit closer of a look and show you what I'm talking about on the other side, and then how this is coming together on this side. So right here, this is the driver side now that I'm showing you. You can see there's certain spots where maybe I did cut off the factory holes, but most of them are still there. So they have you put in an insert. The insert goes in, you just pull this fender flare up, and you essentially have a washer and a screw, and you screw right into that insert. So this will go on nicely. There'll be a couple that maybe I make my own holes for, just to make sure I have support on the bottom sections. I'll show you on the other side, if I walk around here, how this is looking. So things are coming together well. The only place I cut off on this side and didn't have the ability to screw into was here. It was this section towards the front. I'll probably manually drill right next to it and see if I can hit something. It might be a little further up actually here, but that way it is, you know, actually screwing and pulling this in tight in the vehicle. But so far, it's looking good. You know, the fender flare looks really nice. So you're gonna take these little inserts. Not sure how well or how clear that will show up for you on camera, but we're just pressing these in. I had to grab my rubber mallet for some of these to get them pressed in all the way, but they go in like that. So you do those first and get those pressed in till you hear them pop, get them nice and tight. From the outside, you know, stand 5, 10, 15 feet away, it's gonna look good. And then I'm gonna go ahead and put this up and screw this on and move on to the front. All right, got one in. I'll probably just do another and then drill some of these holes. Could have grabbed a longer screwdriver for my box. I may leave this just exactly as it is, to be honest. I do like to do these things by hand, though I could be using a drill, but I don't like to over tighten. You know, and down here I will drill. So maybe I'll tackle that right now. My plan of attack here, I'm looking at these holes, just trying to get an idea for what kind of bit size I might need so that I can drill a hole into the metal for this nut insert, the plastic piece to go into. I call it a nut insert, what am I thinking? It's just an insert for a screw. In these holes, they fit well. Like this is about the same size. So I'm just gonna get a drill bit, and I did, that's approximately the same size as this hole. And I'll start that way. I'll pull this piece out, I'll drill in, I'll turn the camera just a hair here so you can see that. I'll drill into the metal, and then I'll try and put the insert in before we go too far. I'm gonna go for it. Okay, so I made my mark on the back end, and I'll pull this off. I'll finish drilling that through, make sure that this fits, and then get it back up there, get it mounted and put together. All right, so that went well. You can't really see it because it's dark, but down below I made my own hole. These are the factory holes that are showing up here. And then I, again, down at the bottom, drilled my own hole. The factory hole would have been there, but I didn't use that. Drilled my own. So that one came together well. And on the front, I may end up doing the same thing. I may end up just drilling my own holes, using those inserts that they gave. They say you can use tape, like a strong tape, to get these fenders put on. I'm gonna probably prefer to drill and to have some sort of insert and screw combo to hold these on against the wind and the elements, rain and so forth. But so far, I mean, this feels pretty dang sturdy. I'm impressed with how well those inserts are working. Nothing's really moving, and then the look, standing at it above, it looks good. So I'll come back, and of course I'll show you guys this at the end after we power through the front too. So let's get started on those. This side ended up proving to be a lot more difficult than I thought. I had to drill my own holes. The placement, because of where I had cut my fenders, was a little rough. I kind of had to compromise and stretch this out a little bit. I essentially just got one hole in towards the top to hold it, and then kind of messed with it, drilled as I went along. You can see that the paint that I did earlier, it's not showing. So just like I mentioned, don't really have to care about that too much. It's more rust prevention than anything else. There's a little bit of a gap right here between where the fender should sit, the flare should sit. I kind of moved it up a hair. It's going to bug me, but it's good enough. You know, I'll ignore that, knowing that here on the front, it does look good. It could be a little bit tighter, and I think I'll get more screws and just do a couple more to pull this and sink it in. But it's looking good on the front here in particular, and that's where I want that to be the tightest the most. I want the wind and, you know, any potential branches I might hit here to be able to take that impact. We're going to go to Ace Hardware really quick, buy a couple more. This tightened up nicely, so I'm glad I did it. Again, super sturdy, not going anywhere. I'm going to do that to the other side, and then we'll be done. So let's go to Ace. Let's get a couple of extra bolts, screws, washers, come back, wrap it up, and then do a walk around just to show you what this looks like. This side lastly turned into a little bit of a battle. I just wanted to show you one more time what I was doing in case I didn't explain it well before. Here's the different holes that I drilled, and they're not perfect. You know, the original holes would have been right beneath. They would have been down here a bit, but I cut those all off. I put the new holes in. I went ahead and inserted some of what they had sent me, some of what I got from Ace, and then we'll go ahead now. And I did drill the holes in tandem with those holes. You know, I held this up. I had one that held the fender flare on, and then I would go through and I'd punch the holes through the polyurethane and through the metal at the same time so that it's all roughly in the same area, all roughly in the same domain. So now we're gonna go ahead and put this on and we'll be done. Got my noise canceling on, so hopefully you can hear me. But here is the finished product. I say finished, but I think I'm gonna go through and trim some of the excess underneath off so you can't see such a lip. If you're noticing that from this distance, there is a little bit of a lip that shows. I'm super happy about the rear fenders. The front fenders, after the cuts and the mods, so that's on me. Could be tighter, could be better. So I'll give you some close-ups and let you see what that looks like. I don't know, 7.5 out of 10. Just cost. Seems really sturdy, pretty easy to install. Just kind of comes down to what you've done to it to cut and mess with this. I think if I cared about perfection, I probably wouldn't have a Jeep. I probably specifically wouldn't have a Jeep Cherokee from the 90s. So it being good enough is good enough for me. I say call that a wrap for now. Maybe one day things will get tightened up. We'll do a couple of things differently, maybe with rivets, bolts. For now, I'm happy. Follow along, like and subscribe to the channel. I'll link to my other social media as well. A couple cool projects left, like brake line extensions, relatively easy, just need someone there to help me bleed the brakes. So I'll be doing that video here soon. I'll go over some of the gear that I'm going to take with me, and then really we'll jump into some of the camping videos, off-roading videos, where we get to use this Jeep much more so. So follow along, hit that like button, subscribe, throw a comment down below if you have a Jeep, and look forward to seeing you guys next time. Thanks so much.